Your heartbeat is not your own. It is a synchronized response to a frequency broadcast from a source you were never meant to identify. We are told that the world is built on blocks of matter, on atoms and gravity, but those are merely the symptoms. The underlying disease, the actual architecture of our reality, is written in 3 digits: 3, 6, and 9. Nikola Tesla understood this better than any man who ever lived, and he died in a cold hotel room because of it. He didn't just invent the radio or the alternating current. He found the back door to the physical universe. He discovered that our entire existence is a shadow cast by a higher numerical resonance, a frequency that dictates when we sleep, how we think, and when we expire. If you knew the magnificence of those 3 numbers, you would have the key to the universe. But Tesla forgot to warn us that some doors are locked for a reason. Look at the way your life is structured. If you study the patterns of biology and the cosmos, you find a recurring sequence known as the doubling circuit. 1 doubles to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, which reduces to 7, and 16 to 32, which reduces to 5. This pattern, 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, repeats infinitely in our cells, our stars, and our systems of trade. It is the fingerprint of the material realm, the math of the grind. But in this fundamental dance of creation, 3, 6, and 9 are missing. They exist outside the loop. They are not the dancers, they are the architects. They are the invisible vectors of energy that move from the 3rd dimension into the 4th, acting as a flux field that manages the flow of energy into our material world. We are trapped in the doubling circuit, focused on the growth and decay of the physical, while the 3, the 6, and the 9 watch from the silence. Tesla's obsession with these numbers was not the quirk of a declining mind. It was a calculated ritual of synchronization. He would walk around a building 3 times before entering its doors. He refused to stay in any hotel room that was not divisible by 3. He used 18 napkins to clean his dishes. To his colleagues, this was the behavior of a man losing his grip on reality. To Tesla, it was survival. He believed that by aligning his physical movements with these universal frequencies, he could tap into a source of energy that was not bound by the laws of thermodynamics. He wasn't just living his life. He was vibrating at a different rate than the rest of humanity. He was turning himself into a receiver for a broadcast that has been playing since the moment of the Big Bang, a signal that most of us are too deaf to hear. Consider the geometry of the prison. A circle is 360 degrees. 3 plus 6 plus 0 is 9. Divide that circle in half and you have 180 degrees, which reduces to 9. Half again is 90, which is 9. Half of that is 45, which is 9. No matter how many times you shatter the geometry of our world, the frequency of 9 remains as the foundational ghost in the machine. It is the singularity, the point of nothingness that contains everything. In this mathematical hierarchy, 9 is the node, the apex, the ultimate state of resonance. 3 and 6 represent the duality, the positive and negative, the electricity and magnetism that create the tension required for life to exist. 9 is the master that balances them both. But what happens when a human mind begins to interact with these frequencies directly? There are those who suggest that Tesla wasn't just building machines. He was building gateways. His work on the Wardenclyffe Tower wasn't merely a failed experiment in wireless electricity. It was an attempt at resonant energy, the idea that the Earth itself has a heartbeat, a frequency known as the Schumann resonance. Tesla believed that if you could match that frequency, if if you could vibrate the atmosphere at the correct numerical intervals of 3, 6, and 9, you wouldn't just be sending power through the air, you would be altering the state of matter itself. You could make the air a conductor, turn the vacuum of space into a source of infinite potential, or perhaps erase the distance between 2 points in time. This is where the story of his life turns into a shadow play. The documents seized by the government after his death were classified not because of their economic value, but because they described a version of physics that makes our current understanding look like a child's toy. The danger of this discovery lies in the concept of harmonic resonance. We have seen how a singer can shatter a glass by hitting the exact frequency of the material. Now, apply that logic to the fabric of reality. If every object, every person, and every planet has a signature frequency based on the 3-6-9 matrix, then knowing that code gives you the power to manipulate the structure of those things. It is suggested that Tesla discovered a way to create stationary waves, energy that doesn't dissipate but sits in place, growing stronger and stronger as it vibrates. If tuned correctly, these waves could create a shield that no weapon could pierce, or they could cause a localized distortion in time and space. The stories of his earthquake machine, a device the size of a typewriter that nearly brought down a Manhattan skyscraper, are often dismissed as legend. Yet, they align perfectly with the mathematics of 3, 6, and 9. It wasn't about the force of the machine. It was about the timing of the vibration. It was about finding the crack in the door and whispering the right number. Why has this knowledge been pushed to the fringes of science? Why are we taught a version of mathematics that ignores the vortex? Some argue that the 3-6-9 sequence is the ultimate free energy blueprint, and such a thing would destabilize the very foundation of the global economy. If energy can be pulled from the air, using nothing but the correct geometry and resonance, the systems of control we've built over centuries would vanish overnight. But there is a deeper, more unsettling possibility. Perhaps the gates opened by these frequencies are not meant for us. Perhaps the 3-6-9 code is a firewall, and by attempting to crack it, we are inviting a resonance that our physical bodies and our world are not equipped to handle. In ancient civilizations, we see the echoes of this knowledge everywhere, hidden in plain sight. The Great Pyramid of Giza is not a tomb. It is a masterclass in the geometry of 3, 6, and 9. Its dimensions, its placement on the Earth's grid, and its internal chambers all resonate with these specific integers. The ancients weren't building monuments to the dead. They were building massive stone resonators designed to harmonize the Earth with the stars. They understood that the universe is a symphony, and if you want to speak to the conductor, you have to use his language. The language is not words, it is vibration. It is the hum of the sun, the pulse of the tide, and the silent math of the void. When you look at cymatics, the study of visible sound, you see the 3-6-9 pattern manifest in physical form. When sand is placed on a vibrating plate and subjected to specific frequencies, it forms perfect geometric shapes. At certain intervals, the chaos suddenly snaps into a beautiful, complex mandala. These are the energy gates Tesla spoke of. These patterns are the moments where the invisible becomes visible. If the universe is built on these shapes, then we are living inside a giant, vibrating hologram. The numbers 3, 6, and 9 are the coordinates of the nodes where the hologram is anchored. If you move the node, you move the world. Tesla's final years were spent in a state of hyper-awareness. He claimed to receive visions and entire blueprints in a flash of light, a phenomenon that some modern researchers link to a synchronization of the brain's hemispheres at a specific frequency. He wasn't inventing, he was downloading. He was accessing a field of information that exists at the 369 resonance, a universal core where all knowledge is stored. This field, often called the Akashic record or the zero-point field, is the source of all creative genius and scientific breakthrough. But accessing it comes at a price. The human nervous system is an electrical circuit, and running that much voltage through a biological wire can lead to what looks like madness to the uninitiated. The thriller of the 369 frequency is still being written today in the laboratories of quantum physicists and the basements of independent researchers. We are beginning to realize that the empty space between atoms isn't empty at all. It is a pressurized ocean of energy, vibrating at a frequency we can barely measure. We are finding that the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, and the 369 vortex are all interconnected, forming a web that holds the stars in place. But the question remains, what was Tesla's ultimate goal? Was he trying to provide free energy to the world, or was he trying to tune the human race to a higher frequency? If we look at the way our modern world is tuned, we see a different story. Our power grids, our communications, and even our music are often set to frequencies that are slightly dissonant with the natural 369 resonance. Some theorists suggest this is intentional, a way to keep the human mind in a state of low-level agitation and disconnect. By staying out of sync with the universal code, we remain trapped in the physical loop of 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. We stay focused on the material, the doubling, the growth, and the decay, never looking up to see the flux field of the 3, the 6, and the 9. We are players in a symphony who can't hear the conductor because the static of our own technology is too loud. The mystery of Tesla's missing trunks continues to haunt the scientific community. It is rumored that he developed a way to use the 369 frequency to create cold light and a form of propulsion that didn't require fuel, only resonance. He spoke of seeing the past, present, and future as a single, simultaneous event when he was in his heightened states. This suggests that the 369 frequency doesn't just unlock energy, it unlocks time. If time is a frequency, then by changing the dial, you could move through it as easily as you move through a room. This is the ultimate dark mystery, the idea that our timeline is just one of many stations on the radio, and the 369 code is the tuner. As we move deeper into the age of quantum computing and vibrational medicine, the ghost of Nikola Tesla looms larger than ever. We are finding that cells can be healed with specific sound frequencies and that matter can be levitated with acoustic standing waves. We are inching closer to the world Tesla envisioned, but we are doing so with a sense of trepidation. If we unlock the full power of the 369 resonance, will we be able to control it, or will it rewrite us? The power to harness the sun, to bridge dimensions, and to manipulate the fabric of reality is a heavy burden for a species still struggling to live in harmony with itself. Have you ever felt a sudden moment of déjà vu, or a second where the world felt strangely unreal? These are the glitches, brief moments when your internal frequency desynchronizes from the broadcast. In those seconds, the veil thins, and you catch a glimpse of what lies behind the projection. You see the numbers flickering in the dark. Tesla died in the shadows, but his math remains a beacon. He left us the breadcrumbs of a cosmic trail, a series of numbers that point toward a truth so grand it borders on the terrifying. We are not just biological accidents on a lonely rock. We are part of a mathematical masterpiece, a resonant frequency singing its way through the void. The numbers 3, 6, and 9 are the echoes of that song. They are the keys to the gates of energy, the blueprints of the stars, and perhaps the secret exit from the matrix of the material world. The door is there, hidden in the math, vibrating at a frequency we are only just beginning to hear. The question is no longer if the key exists, but whether we are brave enough to turn it and see what lies on the other side of the 9. In the end, the story of 3 to 6 9 is not about math at all. It is about the realization that we are living in a structured, intelligent, and deeply mysterious universe. It is a reminder that there are hidden layers to our reality that can only be accessed through a shift in perspective. Tesla didn't just see the world. He saw the code behind the world. He understood that the physical is just a temporary manifestation of the numerical. As we stand on the threshold of new discoveries in energy and consciousness, the 369 frequency remains the ultimate unsolved riddle. It is a silent guardian, a mathematical sentinel waiting for us to finally understand the magnificence of the code. As Saturn's rings, which some suggest act as a massive frequency transmitter, slowly shift and change, some believe the signal is weakening. The world feels unstable because the frequency fence that has held us in the doubling circuit for millennia is starting to fail. When the broadcast stops, our reality will dissolve, or perhaps it will finally be upgraded. We are not just observers of the cosmos. We are receivers tuned to a transmission we were never meant to question. Until then, the numbers remain just numbers, and the gates remain closed, pulsing quietly in the background of our lives. The clock is ticking in sets of 3, 6, and 9, waiting for the moment we finally decide to tune in. The signal is there. Can you hear it? Or is the static of the world still too loud for you to realize that your heart is beating to a rhythm that isn't yours?